Hello and welcome to another episode of Modern Workplace News Flash, where I take you through some of the latest news so you don't have to. So today's episode is a special episode just focusing on Microsoft Teams since there's been a bit of news around things that's coming. So let's get into what are the cool news around Microsoft Teams. If you don't know, well, you should, but if you don't, we've got virtual breakout rooms. And yep, it's a thing. What is virtual breakout rooms? Essentially, we've all been on those long meetings where you've got lots of people who needs to go into little areas to have their own little discussion and come back. And now we can do that in Teams. So you assign how many rooms you need. Do you want to automatically or manually assign people to those rooms? And there you can see some of the rooms that's been created. And then each of these people in the rooms, they just go and have their own little side meeting, and when they leave, they come back. And because each breakout room is a meeting, you still have that access to all that rich collaboration stuff, like Microsoft Whiteboard, for example, which is pretty cool. What else? Meeting chat moderation. I covered that in my last session, but if you missed it, you have the option to enable, disable, or only during meeting allow chats. So at the moment, I think by default is once the meeting is concluded, you can still chat to the participants. You can now set it to only during the meeting, or you can disable it and have no chat and have a really boring meeting. Teams recording to OneDrive. Yep, also not a new thing. It's been out since the end of last year, I believe. But as you know, if you do record your meetings, they go into Microsoft Stream. And the problem with that is you can't share that with the external people. If you had to kind of download the video and then upload it to OneDrive for Business and then share from there. Now you can just run that PowerShell command there, and hey, presto, your recordings will be stored into OneDrive. How does it do that? It just goes to the organizer's OneDrive for Business and creates a folder called recordings, and it pops it in there. And from there you can share with external people. Awesome. Cool. Live reactions. I've been using this maybe a bit too much, but it is pretty cool. So when you're in a meeting and you want to show some kind of a reaction, if you don't have your camera on, so you don't go yay, thumbs up, you can have a virtual thumbs up, and it just pops up on the meeting. If you have a live event like the one here at the bottom, you see lots of people reactions. That's also pretty cool. It just comes and pops up and flies and disappears again. Little small thing, but I think it is really cool. It's rolling out now, so keep a lookout for that in your tenant. Right, so last week was Microsoft's virtual Ignite event. I guess they shared a lot of news there, but I'm here just to talk about what they've announced around Microsoft Teams. So let's have a look. First thing, dynamic view. To me, it's just a automatic way of adjusting the view based on certain things, such as the amount of participants, if there's a presenter showing a presentation, where you've got people who's got their cameras on or off, and it will kind of adjust as people joins and leaves to kind of make full use of the real estate on the screen in a nice way. That is pretty cool. Another small little update, which I think is pretty cool. Your gallery is usually at the bottom. So if you, like me, you've got your camera on and the rest don't, you kind of, your eyes are drawn towards where your video is, and you tend to look at yourself here at the bottom right-hand side of the screen. It just looks weird. So now you can set the gallery at the top, which is obviously closer to your camera, and it just looks a bit more human, I suppose. Small things again, but yep, thanks for that, Microsoft. PowerPoint Live. Now, to me, this is just the next version of how you share content in Microsoft Teams. That's what it looks like there. You can still share your screen, your windows, things like that. But the magic here happens when you do select a PowerPoint presentation as a presenter, because then it really comes alive. You've got all your slides here at the bottom that you can see. You can see your notes field, which I use quite often to kind of just keep me on track, even though I don't have notes on this presentation. But hey, and it works really nice with the dynamic view, and the presenter view and the attendee view is slightly different, but I think Microsoft's just done a ton of work in the way it looks when you do present a PowerPoint presentation. So that's PowerPoint Live. That is coming, so keep an eye out. As with the the PowerPoint Live, there's also new presenter modes, which will make it a bit interesting around how people present their PowerPoint presentations. There's 3 modes, I think, if I remember correctly. The one is reporter mode that you can see on the screen, which you are like a reporter, you're standing to the side of it. Your background is removed and it's kind of replaced with a neutral tone, and your presentation deck is like kind of over your shoulder where you can point to. The other mode is side by side. It speaks for itself, side by side. And the other one is going to be interesting, called standout mode, which your image or yourself is overlaid on your presentation. It's going to be interesting how that works out for people that's got large images or dashboards or things in their presentations. When your face is in the way and you kind of have to go away, you get what I mean. And we'll see. So that's coming. That's pretty cool. Teams Connect. I don't know why they called it Teams Connect. It's just called shared channels. As you can see. What is shared channels? Currently, you got a normal channel. Then you get a private channel where you can have limited people in that channel. But now we've got something called shared channels, and that's specifically focused for guest users. So you can include guest users in that channel, even though they're not part of the team. So you don't have to create a team for guest access. You can just create a channel within your own team. And then people can collaborate with guest users in that specific shared channel. You can still do chats and co-author on docs in that channel, etc. So I think that's a really clever way of dealing with that, because I've had that requirement myself, where you don't want to create a team for guests, just have a channel where you can share stuff with external people. That's coming. Webinars and Teams, that is a new thing. So where you can create this custom attendee registration process where you have like questions, get some information about the people, and they get an email, they click on the link, they fill in some stuff, and then they basically register for the event, right? So for this webinars and Teams, the maximum of 1,000 users that actively participates in the webinar. And it can also contain up to 20,000 view-only attendees, where you would kind of just broadcast the webinar there one way. So when it concludes, you've got this really great recap of the webinar that shows you some stats on who attended, the amount of people that registered and that actually attended. And what I quite enjoy is the join and leave time. You'll be able to pick up on those guys who say that, they've been in the webinar, but here we can see some people that didn't stay for the whole one, like Ray Tanaka there. It's only been from 10 to 10:28. So we can immediately see that person has not been in the entire webinar. Pretty cool. Another cool thing here is the integration into Dynamics 365 marketing. So once the webinar has been concluded, you can follow up with the participants by kicking off some kind of a complex marketing campaign, by getting feedback or sending stuff, or whatever you want to do. But a really good touch from webinars there. And that's it from webinars, I think. Invite only meeting controls. It is exactly what it says. At the moment, if you got a link to a meeting within your tenant, you can click on that link and you can probably join, or sit in the lobby if nobody wants to let you in, but you can still join. But with invite only meeting controls as part of that policy setting, meetings that are created this way will only allow participants that actually been invited. So whether you got the link or not, you won't be able to join. I couldn't find a picture of what that looks like, so there's a picture of a dog playing Jenga. And lastly, I just want to put out some worthy mentions, some things that's coming also down the line. The first thing is meeting recap. So when you do have a meeting in Teams, you will now have this details tab that brings together everything, like the recording, if there's a transcript, some notes that taken, the attachments if somebody presented, all those kind of things, and the attendance of that meeting. A nice place to keep everything together. So if you missed out on a meeting that you couldn't attend, you can just go back to that details or meeting recap and view everything there in one place. Pretty cool. Chat bubbles, again, couldn't find a picture, so gave you a picture of bubbles. But if you're in a meeting and you do want to chat with the participants of the meeting, you had to click on the chat window and then type a chat, and hopefully people read it, because otherwise they just see that little red dot come up on the chat icon. Chat bubbles will enable any chat to pop up on the meeting. So if somebody's presenting, or you just see a whole bunch of people with their video content, the chat bubbles will pop up and people will be able to participate as an overlay. That's what I believe it's going to be, as an overlay to the meeting content itself. It's just another visual upfront way of showing those chats as part of meetings. So that's all coming soon. That's all from me today. Yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share the video if you can. So yeah, we'll see you in the next episode. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.